I don't know how much fun this is going to be today, but I am an artist who put making art and myself above everything. Every day for decades, I went into my studio and made work. I made work that celebrates repetitive patterns, that celebrates makers of handmade textiles, stitch by stitch. My pattern was to work every day. My earliest influence was watching my grandmother's hands using scraps to create improvised geometry. And I think of a quote by Virginia Woolf, which is, arrange whatever pieces that come your way. Sorry, I'm really an artist, not a speaker, but I'm gonna go. Okay. What came my way is an atypical 9/11 story. My husband Bill and I had been invited to stay at the White House for a weekend by President and Mrs. Bush. Laura and I have been friends since we were children. And so on September 8th, we all went to the first National Book Festival that Laura created on the Mall. And then Sunday, September 9th, we all went to church with many of the visiting authors. I remember the historian David McCullough was there. Then on September 10th, that was Monday, my husband and I flew back home to Dallas. We live here. And then on Tuesday, September 11th, 2001, my husband was scheduled for just a routine hernia repair early in the morning. And we knew about the first plane going in right before he went to surgery. And the whole hospital was just in emergency mode because no one knew what was going to go on, you know. And so let me go back. Okay. They were just in emergency mode, and I was just wondering if the doctors might be watching television like everybody else was. But he had a very hard time waking up from the anesthetic, so instead of day surgery, they kept him overnight. And it was a horrible night, as you all know, and he really never felt right again. And so he woke up into a personal new world as the country's world was spinning. So Bill has an atypical form of Parkinsonism. It's called PSP, or progressive supranuclear palsy. It's pretty rare, but anyway, he's had it for 12 years now. And for the last 5 years, I've been his total care partner. We're in partnership with this disease. We've been in partnership with marriage for 45 years. We were college sweethearts at SMU, and we have 2 sons, and we've had plenty of ups and we've had plenty of downs. So he first started drooling a lot. That was the first symptom. And then he knew he couldn't get his key into the lock. Then he started falling a whole lot, maybe a dozen times a week. And then one by one, he just had to give up riding his bike to work. He had to give up his job. He had to give up driving, reading, playing golf, playing the piano, using the computer. And just PSP has been a thief, taking away his independence. And he says he's illegally blind since he's never took the legal blind test, but he really, he can't see. If he can't get his eyes to open most of the times, and if he sees, it's blurry and he's double. He has trouble swallowing. He has to be fed and bathed and dressed, and he has very little stamina. He sleeps a lot. So that's it. But what does he have left? What he has left is humor and wit. He has great joy in his grandchildren and his children. He's interested still in movies, nature, programs, and he's a gigantic gigantic Boston Red Sox fan. So it's game 6 today. And so he exercises a lot with help. He listens to audiobooks. He plays chess. And he loves eating, even though it's really a struggle. It's a long, slow struggle. He's not fighting or, battling his disease. It's untreatable. He's just making the most meaningful life he can with it. And his boys say, his boys say that Dad is showing us, he's just showing us every day how to make the best of a bad situation. And his spirit seems to strengthen just as his body weakens. And Bill has shown me and everyone who loves him dignity in an extreme illness. He has so much grace with his patience and his acceptance. Sometimes it can take him like 5 minutes to try to get his eyes pried open with his fingers, but he doesn't complain about anything. His wisdom is in knowing what is truly important, and he has taught us to love what is, not what we wish could be. So I'm always reading and trying to find tips to help me cope and care. And I know that even in the same diagnosis, and there's many different things people can have, but it's all individual. But I'm just going to give you my tips from being a caregiver for this time, and take them or leave them. Okay. So this is my number one tip, because I do think you become what you do over and over. And laughing there's a lot of absurd situations, so you can take advantage of that and try, your best. And I have really been so blessed with caregivers. I mean, that our helpers have been amazing, and sometimes we use more and sometimes less, and our family is amazing. We both go to this chair dance class. It's all for movement disorders, and the music is unbelievable. The teacher's great, and we wouldn't miss it. It's pretty fun. And that's another thing. I try to keep the music on. It lifts your spirits. And going to hear live music in a place like this or just out in the park is a great spirit lifter. And this is one thing I try to remember, that I don't have to have a reaction every time. I can be quiet, or I can not swear. So this is something I try to remember. And flowing and pausing, I'm trying to remember that right now. So just to realize, not just to race from thing to thing, and take a moment and just pause. And kindness, sometimes I have to do an impression of kindness and courage, but anyway, it goes a long way. So the 4 walls are kind of confining, and I try to take a drive sometimes. It's a kind of an old-fashioned, gasoline waster to take a drive, but I go by places that we have memories and just get out of the routine. And this is another thing. I need to forgive the people that aren't around anymore, that just kind of stay away, and people that don't see you when you're trying to struggle a wheelchair through a door. It doesn't do me any good not to forgive them. It just I need to let that go. And I get a lot of advice, and I'm giving advice, so filter it out, whatever doesn't work for you. And the solutions do have to keep changing. You have to keep on your feet. And sometimes I think, what fresh hell is this? Well, you have to have a fresh solution for it, and then another one. So you have to arrange whatever pieces that come your way. So thanks. So the past 12 years have brought us beyond close, because we do everything together. We're together a lot. We know each other so much more deeply than when we were just pursuing our own interests. He was an entrepreneur for many years, and then he had these acting and singing years, and then he was his last job was a monorail driver at the Dallas Zoo. And I was always in the studio. I never thought I'd live a life of service. I thought sacrifice was only supposed to be for art. So not many couples really have this open door to intimacy. It's kind of a special time, and I'm totally amazed by the process of this and realize that not just the healthy times are important, and it's all important. And this painting, Keeping Watch, is about what we do on a regular basis, just our routines, our daily bread, our daily life, and just kind of acting like a water slowly smoothing a stone into a new shape, just like a sampler. Every day's a little different. So Bill and I, have been able to fulfill each one of our wedding vows we made as kids. We had no idea what we were promising. So we've been truly better, we've been worse, we've been rich, and we've been poor. We've had sickness and we've had health till death us do part. So we've developed many rituals, and when settled finally into bed, when settled finally into bed, which takes a lot, then we hold hands. I'm just going to say, okay. We hold hands, we review the day, and we just tell each other what was the highlight of the day, which is often pretty surprising. And so then we kind of pause to think about the highlight, and then we sing together, actually, taps. Day is done, gone the sun, from the lakes, from the hills, from the skies. All is well, safely dwell, God is nigh. And then we say together the Lord's Prayer, and no more talking. We fall asleep listening to classical music forever and ever. Amen. Mm-hmm.